Hey guys, and welcome back to Leo Gaming. I hope everyone is doing well in this beautiful weather. Yes, today is episode 4 of
Retro Tuesday.
Yes guys, Retro Tuesday is back, and today I've got a lovely game to go back on. And I will be honest, this game is a little after the retro year that I say of 2000. This is actually 2001, but it's such a classic that I've got to do this game. Plus, I can't get footage of the original one, so I've had to do the second one, which is probably the best in the series. So, without further ado, I give you Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
The Hudson River, 2 years ago.
No problems. Proceeding as planned, sir.
Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty revolves around the Big Shell, a massive offshore cleanup facility seized by a group of terrorists who call themselves the Sons of Liberty. They demand an enormous ransom in exchange for the life of the President of the United States and threaten to destroy the facility and create a cataclysmic environmental disaster if their demands are not met. The motives and identities of many of the antagonists and allies change throughout the course of the game as the protagonists discover a world-shaking conspiracy constructed by a powerful organisation known as the Patriots. This was a 2001 game developed and published by Konami for the PlayStation 2, but we all know who the real genius behind this game, Hideo Kojima. Initially, this was going to be called Metal Gear Solid 3 to symbolise Manhattan's 3 tallest skyscrapers. Hideo Kojima had prepared a document outlining the game's new mechanics and features such as bodies being hidden and enemies being able to detect shadows. The list goes on. But the main theme was to have passing on memories, environmental issues, and social themes such as digitisation of the military and daily life. Also stated that the aim was to have betrayals and reversals where every character is lying in one way or another. This then blurs the line between real life and fantasy. The game had a $10 million budget, which allowed Kojima, along with the new PlayStation 2 hardware, to push the boundaries of this machine as he did with Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1. This created an absolutely extraordinary game.
Destroy that.
In terms of the playable character, you only played Solid Snake in the prologue and then became Raiden, who you would continue as to the game end. This idea came about as Kojima wanted you to see Snake from another person's perspective, and also so he didn't have to write a tutorial for a character who was supposed to be a vet in the military. The character of Raiden was created in order to appeal to female players, after he overheard female debuggers working on the first Metal Gear Solid that the game was not appealing to them. Raiden was deliberately withheld from promotions and was known once the game was released to some very, very annoyed fans, including myself. Thus, then, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty was born. And guys, how mad was I when I played this game for the first time, and I was so annoyed when suddenly he was playing as Raiden. Oh my god, I was like, I have bought this game to play as Solid Snake, as that was like brilliant play. He was a brilliant character in the first game. And it, like, no disrespect, but I didn't buy this to play as some anime-looking female character. I mean, to be honest, that style never interested me. I don't like Final Fantasy because that sort of Japanese anime stuff doesn't interest me at all. So as soon as I saw Raiden, I was like, no! It just took away that realism, because you just weren't going to get a character like that really on the battlefield in terms of the Metal Gear series, and it just, to me, it sort of ruined it a little bit. I mean, to be honest, later on it was fine, because once you understood the story more and you got to grips with Raiden and his backstory, it was okay. But one of the things that used to annoy me is the conversations you used to have with the Colonel, and some of the responses that Raiden would come out with, like a complete amateur, and I would be sitting there going, oh God, Snake wouldn't respond like this. Snake would know what to do. See, biggest mistake, playing as some other character, not Snake. But like I said, later on you understood why, and you did sort of see the perspective of how he thought of Snake from another person's perspective. And let's be honest, guys, how confusing did the story become in Metal Gear Solid 2? I had to replay it about 5 times just to get a gist of it. But once you sussed it, the storyline was amazing. But the first one had quite a basic concept. It was quite an easy storyline to follow. When you moved on to this one, suddenly characters changing and things were changing, and there was all these different new characters and backgrounds, and it was like, oh my God, and different groups of organisations of different terrorists, and it was like, whoa. And especially at that age, when it came out, I was 15, and it was just like, oh no, I don't understand this. So you had to replay it so many times. Don't get me wrong, the cutscenes drew me in. I was drawn in by the cutscenes. I loved the cutscenes. But it still took you a few playthroughs just to figure out what the hell was going on. It really did. But yeah, it's such an amazing storyline. Such great writing on this game. It was absolutely fantastic. For me, this game was such a masterpiece. And it was like a continuation into being drawn into the world of the Snake story after Metal Gear Solid 1. It's just Metal Gear Solid 1 and this second one were both way ahead of their time for the consoles that they were on. I mean, I remember as soon as this was announced, the excitement, after playing the first one about 20 times, the excitement I had to get this one. And then getting it for my birthday, and it was absolutely magical. At the time, the graphics were far superior to anything on the PlayStation 2. Similar to the first, like the first one was far superior to most games on the PlayStation 1. I mean, even years later, me and my stepdad would play this game and plan what parts we would sort of play in turns. And taking turns to sort of do different sections of the game. It's such a great game, and even now the replayability is fantastic, and I'm just drawn into the story. I mean, even some of the mission variations were different as well, like this one here where you had to search each strut for the sort of varying, the sort of bombs that you had to freeze. I remember at the time it was so difficult. Like, I found it really difficult to try and find them. I mean, now, because when you replayed it several times, you know exactly where they are, so you know where you're going. But back then, it was so cleverly done. Everything was so entwined, where the way you had to go, and it's not like today's games where you get like a marker on your screen that's telling you what direction you've got to go. You literally had to work it out. Like to go to which strut, you had to sort of first person it and look at the door to see which way you're going and whether it's the correct way, and you're going to the right strut. I mean, the sound and the musical score in this game was absolutely fantastic. Some of the cutscenes and the music and the way it's panned out, these games were literally an interactive film. I mean, the sound and sound effects was absolutely fantastic. We just have a listen.
hell is that?
Come, put me out of my misery.
You see, every cutscene had that variation in music with each boss, and that was like that felt like a sort of 1920s, 30s noir style bit of music there, and it just, each cutscene and every boss just had that dramatic music and sound, and it was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, these games, and this specifically, was like an interactive film, and the cutscenes were just like watching a film, and it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, talking of films, I did find that the music, because the films at the time that were popular at that particular moment were the Nicolas Cage films, like The Rock or Con Air or Face Off. Now, I found the music was so similar to, especially the film The Rock. It was that action-orientated music, especially during the action cutscenes of this game. It just really reminded me of those films, and I think it did draw a lot of inspiration from them. And it was such a brilliant, genius idea to incorporate that style of music. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some drawbacks to this game at some points. I mean, especially when you went to save the game. I remember every time you went to Rose to save the game, you were always then, once you saved it, you had to go through a long-ass conversation with her afterwards. Obviously, you used to end up just skipping it, but it used to get quite annoying. I always used to wonder why there were certain points they didn't have to put these long conversations. And another couple of annoyances is more towards the first couple of hours of the game. It felt like every room you walked into, every corridor you walked down, your codec would start beeping, beep, beep, and it'd be like, oh my god, again. And all it would be the Colonel saying, to crouch, press the select button, you know. It was like, I'll tell you what, there were some classic sayings in this game though, or the first one there weren't so many classic sayings in this one, but the first one you had the snake, like, huh? A surveillance camera? That was a classic one. We used to say that at school as well. A surveillance camera? It was just, there are some classic lines in these games. I'm not so much about this one, but it's just one of those films, and it's like, oh, when Snake dies, Snake. Oh god, that's what I mean. There's so many memories with these games. It's fantastic. The first and second one are my favourites, I would say. The third one, I can't remember the third, Snake Eater. I couldn't really get to grips with. I couldn't get into it, to be honest. Guns of Patriots, it's okay. Phantom Pain, played first hour, got bored. I just couldn't stand it. The open world concept just didn't seem right for me. So overall, I would say that this game, well, the first one set the bar, set the standard for, I would say, in terms of a game for these particular consoles. The second one took what the first one did, added new features and made it 10 times better. And it was such a fantastic genre-defining game. It changed the way gaming was played. It's a shame that nowadays you don't get games like this. This is why I'm looking forward to the Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, and hopefully they do this one and number 3 as well, because they do need it. They deserve these remakes for these modern gen consoles. But guys, it is time for me to say,
Jack, what's going on? Answer me! Jack!
mission failed. No, so guys, that is the end of my trip down memory lane. Retro Tuesday for Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. If you do like my content and my videos, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That's just below the video. And don't forget to please check out my previous video, which was an Alien Isolation review. So guys, that's all from me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weeks. Love you all and goodbye.